Hello again. In my last video, I talked about motor power and how you should pick a power source for your needs. Today, I will talk about how you can control and use motors. So far, I have gone over two important topics, picking a motor and picking a respective power source. Any type of control will need these two core things, the motor and power source. Control cannot exist without those two things, which is why we pick them first. From them, we can then decide on a control circuit. A control circuit is what allows the motor to work. In other words, a control circuit brings everything we have talked about so far together and working. So what types of control circuits exist? Well, there are tons out there. It all depends on how fine a control you want. There are control circuits out there that can track a motor's position, power use, and other stats to the finest minute detail. While there are other circuits out there that are less precise but are simpler to set up. Here, we will focus on the more simpler control circuits. We will cover two. This one is the most simplest way to control a motor. You will need a motor, battery, and a switch. So how does it work? It all starts in the battery. Here you will see that the battery has negative and positive terminal. Electrical current flows from the positive terminal through the wire and hits the switch. If the switch is connected, then the electricity continues to the motor, which then starts running. If the switch is disconnected, then the electricity never makes it to the motor, which stops it from running. If you're having trouble visualizing this, think of electricity as water and the wires as pipes. This other circuit is a bit more complicated, but allows you to run a motor forwards and backwards. You will need a motor, a battery, a DP-DT switch, and wires. What's a DP-DT switch? It stands for a double pull, double throw switch. It's just a switch with 3 positions instead of 2 like most switches. Let's go over the circuit to understand why this works. Again, like the last example, it all starts in the battery. From the positive terminal, it flows to the switch and to the motor and all the way back again. But what's different? If you look closely and follow the path, you will see that in one switch position, the flow ends up on one side of the motor, while in another position, the flow ends up on the other side of the motor. Motors have an interesting characteristic where they will rotate either clockwise or counterclockwise based on which side of the motor you connect the positive side of the battery to. This circuit fully takes advantage of that by letting you run the motor clockwise or counterclockwise based on one special switch. And that's how you would control a motor. Well, the two most simplest ways. There are others, which I will cover in future videos. In my next video, I will cover ways to make your motor last the longest by covering best practices. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks.